All right, it is 5:32. We do have a quorum. The only members missing, it looks like, are Tim and Rachel. I don't know if we've heard from them or not.
We have Rachel. Rachel will not be.
They don't have any additions or adjustments to the agenda.
I've got one addition that I'd like to make, just discussing, a handicap van.
Just put it under other items.
Yeah, fine.
Before we get started, there's the consent agenda to approve the minutes of April 17th.
So moved.
Melvin and Eric.
Ben.
Yeah, I thought it was Ben. Oh, Ben, sorry.
No worries.
I thought I heard you say.
That's right.
Anyone have any questions or comments on that? All in favor? With that, anyone in the audience have anything they wanted to bring? It looks like we can move right into the action item.
I know this is gonna be a new presentation for everybody here.
We've got a hard copy of this
Yeah, I hope
presentation
everyone has a
coming up.
long time to listen to the background here. But no, so for those who are joining us now, I'll give a recap of what, where we're at now and what we'll be looking to approve tonight.
Suggestion.
Someone get in?
Sarah's getting it.
Sarah.
Yeah, sorry.
So we've just put together a PowerPoint that kind of reviews the recap of where we're at and what we're looking for as far as what we're looking at for this summer's project. We did start finalizing the work on the biomass system, the central plant, that will break ground this summer. We've also, we're finalizing the septic and then working on the union, finishing up the controls at the union building, as well as replacing all of the windows for this building. It includes about 90+ windows and 3 awnings. And then starting the valve and control replacement over at Miller. So on that immediate item list, which you'll see in the PowerPoint that's getting printed, we're chipping away at the top immediate need items that were part of the bond. And we started it last summer with the roof and the domestic hot water heater. We've been doing smaller projects in the spring that are a little bit lesser the budget, but that includes the control, starting the controls upgrades at Union. Will be finishing it this summer. And then the noise issue at Prescott, with one of the air handlers that goes into 2 classrooms, that's been kind of an issue for a few years now. We'll be adding a drop ceiling in that, so that's gonna buffer some of that sound and relieve that noise issue. And then also adding some insulation into classrooms that don't have any on the backside of Miller School. So those are all smaller projects that have started this April, and they'll be slowly finishing up throughout the summer, as well as the project, the larger project of the biomass and the septic that will be starting this summer as well, and we'll be wrapping that up by next summer. Due to the phasing of construction and how we're doing a septic system this summer, we can start the biomass facility this summer, but to do the piping across through the high school and underground to the middle school, we'll be doing that portion next summer once the septic is ramped up.
Logistical question.
Yep.
I know we've talked about paving projects that we'll possibly be looking into. With all of the piping and trenching, is there a way to, like, put pipes that we can fish through before doing all the paving so we don't have to cut it up?
So, I kind of said tongue in cheek some time ago that I was hoping that we'd go right down through a bunch of the parking lots so we can get new paving on it as well. However, the route that they've got is actually, it's gonna have very low impact on any of the parking lots. Basically cut across the rear entrance Miller, off the Miller Road, going across there, and then it will snake out along the side of the football field, go into the high school and then continue down and over into the middle school is what I believe.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
presentation, there's a diagram of where the piping is gonna go through, so you'll see it go through exact that route, through the high school, but past the football field, track, and into the back of the middle school.
And the septic project is gonna require us to remove a chunk of pavement behind the school. And that will be replaced as part of the septic project.
Yeah.
So then there's 2 more cuts that we'll need to repair for the piping to the school.
Sounds like you'll have to bribe the excavator driver if you want more torn up though.
We talked it over and we thought that trying to get all the piping done in addition to the septic system, since the piping is gonna be going right in that same general area, that we were just, we were courting a bad situation come and not being able to get it done before the school starts. And I think this way, this lets us get the building taken care of. And then next year, we can have a plan all ready to execute on for the piping and all of that, finishing off the project.
Yeah, and as much work as we can do in that biomass building will be done so that once next summer hits, we're just ready for install and startup. In the presentation, you'll see there's 2 pictures of a plant. This type of plant that we're gonna be installing it will not have a silo. It's gonna be a rake system, so everything will be contained within that building. It most likely will look more like that bottom building out of the 2 pictures. But I wanted to kind of give some reference to what style of building that we'll be doing. It's also gonna have some storage space in it for facilities and maintenance. Being kind of a new building, it allows us to increase some of the facility storage space. Some of the highlights of the biomass that made it appealing was we'll be receiving a $300,000 rebate from Efficiency Maine, as well as around $15,000 a year that will go straight to the district through the Maine Thermal Rec program. And that's just gonna be an automated process through a BTU meter that's gonna be installed on the boiler. It's gonna measure the usage, report it into an online system that will then get sent back to the district via check. So that's a huge benefit of kind of an additional savings, if you will. I have the project economics broken out here for each of the portions. And then what the total yearly payment would be. We were working kind of to try and make sure it fit within a phase 1, leaving enough room for a phase 2, which will tackle controls and ventilation throughout the district. That will start into 2026, 2027 for the phase 2, which by February, we can kind of nail down. The reason it's gonna be February is coming up this fall, we'll be looking to apply for revolving renovation fund loans through the state. That program will forgive a percentage of the total project cost, where the remaining is gonna be paid back at 0% over 10 years through the Maine Bond Bank. Those projects will be the Union ventilation replacement, Friendship Gymnasium air handler replacement, and then adding ventilation to the classrooms at Miller. With each of the Union replacement and Friendship, for the Friendship and the Miller, we can also, that will come with control. So particularly Friendship control upgrades, we can kind of put that under this ventilation project. So that will help tackle, if we receive that funding, help tackle some of that as well. And we'll submit those applications in October. We find out early February if we received any of them. And then if we did, we can kind of plan those separately, then the ventilation, and rearrange the projects at that point. But those will be the funding opportunities that we go for in fall.
The question on the window replacement here at Union. Obviously, the casement style windows are not designed for the high traffic that they got, and they just don't survive that long in an industrial application. Are you looking into like double or single hung?
Yes, it'll be, yes.
Okay,
Double on vinyl placement.
all vinyl?
Yep.
Okay.
Great question.
May I ask a couple questions?
Yeah.
Linda Peace, from downtown high school. I have, there's an arrow on one of them that looks like something's going near the pizza oven. Is that not gonna bother the pizza oven that's there?
The dotted line. Are you talking about-
Yeah, I think the pizza oven is safe. It's the outdoor pizza oven, correct?
Yes.
Yes. We'll need to double check.
I mean, it needs to be
verify.
moved. I just was
Yeah.
curious. I
It'll just moved up the hill a little bit, Linda, just like Snacktown Road, if it needs to be. Which that's a pretty soggy area anyway, so taking an opportunity to get that into drier terrain wouldn't be a bad thing.
would not be a bad thing at all. then I have two questions, one about noise and one about odor. Is this biomass building, it looks like it's going in between our school and the outer buildings?
Yes.
Is there a noise factor there? And also I had asked previously and didn't really get a clear answer on what odor comes out of this and if there's an odor factor at all.
So there won't be noise to it that you
So there's
hear.
no big fans or,
There's gonna be exhaust within the building and
okay.
we weren't allowed to, but yeah, it's not gonna be
I
noise.
just want to also correct this. This is not
Oh, well,
100%
that's
correct.
Let's keep it
I didn't
going.
see you in there.
I work for EI and they just want to make sure that the building is actually going to be built.
Well, I thought,
Here.
okay, I thought that,
We
it looks like,
have, you know, these are draft plans.
I
so
totally
I just
understand.
We've done it.
I was a little confused because I didn't really know where it's
And
going.
as to, noise, there'd be no significant noise.
Yeah, no, I
At all.
And same
But-
with odor.
Yeah, oh,
I don't think there's gonna be any
Okay.
odor.
All right, thank you. I just-
kids.
I don't know anything about it really, I was just
So-
curious.
Yeah, so we have there's currently like an overview of the project, but what we're working on putting together with that overview is gonna be a full detail on the benefits, kind of the impacts of it. And it would cover things like a noiseless system. There won't be any, really, I mean, anybody outside of that building isn't gonna have any, that can impact anything else. So that will kind of all be included too in that informational sheet. And it can be used for educational purposes.
Yeah.
A lot of these buildings that we do, we make the system available for education, whether we label the pipes, we label the parts of.
I had read that.
itself. Yep, we did that recently on a geothermal system where all the pipes were color coded, and labeled. So the biomass system itself will also be able to be an educational tool.
and if there is anybody who wants to take a road trip to visit an existing biomass system that we did, we're running out of heating season, but, you can at least talk to the people, or we can do it in the fall. And you can see and hear and smell that there's really no impact.
And we were also wondering about the delivery of the biomass, like how, like trucks and, like, we were just.
Yeah,
curious
tractor
about
trailer,
Yeah.
that. Okay,
which is
how
why we were
often does that
thinking,
come in?
well, they come off from Miller, the area that I would prefer.
Right, but I mean,
Basically,
is it-
yes.
It's weekly,
We,
yep, in the dead of winter, it's weekly.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe
sure.
worst case twice a week. I believe there's a total of 30, deliveries per year is the plan.
And they'll be, going down the Miller Road, be an opening at the, building right there for them to deliver. So it'll all be contained to that.
and just because I'm a logger's wife and know about posted roads and things like that, has that all been accounted for that when roads get posted?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm sure it has, I'm curious.
Great question, though.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
As far as the, biomass building, you were talking about the extra space in there, how much approximately? would it be? Obviously, I'm not gonna hold
It's,
you to the
it's
square.
not,
foot,
it's
but-
not a ton.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
I, off the top of my head, I believe it's like 1,500 square feet,
Okay.
Yeah.
roughly. Don't quote me on that. Don't write that down.
Boardroom, boardroom, no.
We make use of
Boardroom.
every little space that possibly is,
So you
so.
put your request in now for.
Yeah.
There will be no
Yeah,
extra
boardroom,
space.
we want a boardroom.
Brian's like, why are you taking it?
Yeah.
Don't you touch my space.
Hot going on. And that cannot be used as classroom space, is that correct?
Correct, yeah,
I
it will
will
be.
not have a bathroom in there, so
No bathroom.
it'll be a challenge.
Not necessarily a problem.
Yeah, it would change, the building a little bit if we were to label it as classroom space or anything, so it's gonna be additional.
Yeah, not having a bathroom does not, slow down.
It doesn't seem to, does it?
That's for sure.
Julia does the opposite, she has classrooms in back.
All good things, yeah.
Go ahead.
This isn't gonna affect the trees at all.
No, so we have a septic design now that has no impact on the tree farm, and then this building as well will be next to the tree farm, but not
It
impact
might have an impact on.
two.
But
But
they're small
they're
ones
very
that we
small
can
trees.
transform.
And we
Yeah.
will replant them.
And has this, the, new septic plan, I'm assuming you designed it in coordination with local vendors we use, so they know what we're putting in?
So, yes, obviously, when you get septic systems this size, they're considerably more hoops to go through as far as having the states, give the approval on it and stuff like
I
that.
meant like interstate, if we ever have an issue, obviously. they're
Yeah, we
probably
have
be the ones
three
who check.
vendors who have provided pricing, local vendors, one of which who's already worked with the school system. We've checked out each of their facilities, and verified that they're capable of doing the projects. They have the experience and they've done these before, and believe they're all right within.
And you're talking about the pumping, and yes.
Yeah.
That is.
Septic
Just so they know what.
100%.
Okay. Perfect. Anyone else have any other questions?
It's a great presentation.
I think what this lets us do is, as I said, just 10 minutes ago, is that we're chipping away at the top of the priority list that we had established, and probably getting down through 7 or 8 of the top ones that we will have completed by, next summer, I think, which is pretty good.
Yeah, and those, who weren't at the last meeting, we did talk about when we start that biomass facility, we'll kind of have an overview of everything the district's done since the bond to tackle these projects internally with the funding that was available, comprehensive approach, and taking advantage of any thermal credits and rebates that we could. So we'll put together kind of that overview document for the community to let everybody know what's being done on a positive note. And also, when we start the biomass facility, I think it's great. It would be great to highlight it for the community of, what we've been able to capitalize on, and let the community know about this new essential biomass plant, and then the ventilation at all of the schools being tackled.
Awesome, thank you.
I'd like to move that the facilities committee recommend to the board to approve capital improvement summer projects.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Does anyone have any other comments or questions on that? All in favor? It's unanimous.
And
Thank
if
you.
any questions come from anybody, they have our email, so we're happy to answer anything or put anything that you might think in that separate document that we can get to before your vote.
Thank you. All right, next on the list is other items. We'll start with the van accident.
Uh,
all very much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm a little goal oriented. I apologize.
You're out of here. I've now forgotten
We just wanted to
Which
give an
one?
update.
that was the second,
That
correct?
was
of
the one that,
accident?
AJ's.
Yes, yeah. So I believe it was on the 2nd of May, we had a van that was operated by one of our maintenance employees that was traveling, well, southbound, although in that area you're not actually going south on Route 1. Coming up at the intersection of 285, there was some tree work that was taking place.
2:30.
Excuse me, 235, what did I say, 285? Sorry, 235. Vehicle started to slow, the driver of our van, was putting coffee down, looked back up and was just, one of those things that ended up crashing into the car in front. I would say that our van is totaled for sure. We haven't received the final, insurance adjuster look at it, but that was actually supposed to happen today, and I've not heard back from them. AJ is doing well. Unfortunately, some of the other, the occupants in one of the other vehicles that were involved, it was a 3-vehicle. We hit one, and then that was pushed into a car in the front. The car that our vehicle struck, unfortunately, there were, members in that car, that were injured. One quite severely, although I've had updates and, it's gonna be a long road to hoe, but, we'll be back. A full recovery is expected.
That's all on our insurance, the whole thing.
Could I ask a question, just because I have staff members who are asking? So as more and more people sometimes either drive the van, like a school personnel drives a van to have kids in it, Or sometimes they have their documents submitted, and they take their own vehicle. It has been asked of me recently, I think it's because of this accident, they're talking about their own personal liability. If they're in a school van taking kids to a sport, and there's a serious accident, and then also in their own vehicle, if they've been approved because we haven't been able to get things, and they're in a serious accident, I think this has made people be a little bit more aware of, okay, if I agree to do this, what's the liability? What happens to that? I think I heard someone say insurance over here, so I didn't quite hear.
Yeah, so they are covered under our insurance.
Okay,
However, we are getting clarity. We are seeking clarity because of this accident as well.
okay.
To ensure that we're not putting any of our employees at risk by transporting, on behalf of our.
And we'll hopefully get that.
We should have it
soon,
soon.
time with that. So I think this has concerned a lot of people.
Absolutely.
It happened.
It was a very.
There were no students involved,
Right.
no students on the van at the time, sorry, I should have probably led with that.
Not to sound insensitive, I'm just curious, what was the age of the van in the accident?
That was,
Near the end of its life
It
cycle
was-
anyway, or?
It was end of life,
how many miles was it?
150,000 plus miles on it. It was a 2019, but I mean, all of our vans get a tremendous amount of miles, some more than others, and that was one that did a lot of, out of district transport. And so, yeah, it was definitely, it was one of our spare vans, that we used basically, if somebody needed to run up to, if a bus driver came in, was dropping their bus off to be serviced, a bus that they keep at home. It was a van that was available for them. It was also just a backup that if a van driver was out, we needed a van to help out, then we would use that, but.
Yeah, we, for those of you who weren't around, we had 2 or 3 vans that were in the district for quite a long time, and then
2019.
2019 school year, the district purchased 5 original Dodge Caravans, I think they were.
Correct.
Some were new, but some I think were a year old at the time, and those are the core ones that have been running. And like Brian said, some have gone to special purpose private schools, so those have gone a really long distance. Others stay more in district, but all of them are getting age on them, which is why we put in this year's budget to get new vans and only one school bus.
One of the vans that I drive from time to time, number 36, is one of the lighter, lesser used 2019 vans, and that has 129,000 miles on it. And that's one of the lightly used ones, so.
Ronna, how many miles a week do you go in your bus? Do you have an idea?
150 a day.
A day, yeah. So some of the vans are doing.
Yeah, on my run, I'm doing about 110 miles a day in the van. But between 2 morning runs, 2 afternoon runs.
I don't have any other questions on the van accident. Looks like we can move on to the new van, which I'm assuming is not related.
No, that's correct. So, as you all know, we have, handicapped students in the district. Some that are in a wheelchair. We have, one in particular that we have been transporting by van, where they're lifted out of the wheelchair, put into the van for transport and transported to and from school in that manner. I thought that we had probably another year before that student was gonna grow into the point where we were going to need to take a look at transporting him in a wheelchair ramped or lift equipped vehicle. That student's had a pretty good growth spurt, and we have started transporting him in a bus starting this week. He is on a truncated schedule. I don't know if that's because of the IEP or if that's just because of the transportation that we can provide. So anyways, long and the short of it, we went out and did a site assessment of the person's house where we have to pick the student up. And it's 150 yards up into the individual's house. It's a gravel driveway. I think that under the best of circumstances, it's gonna be challenging for a bus in the winter. And I think in the spring, one of our small buses it will likely be, impassable because of the softness of the road and just the iciness of gravel driveways that we all have. That puts us into a situation whereby we have the life van downstairs, that is primarily used here in the life program. It's a front-wheel drive van, that has the wheelchair lift in the back. I think that something, an application of that sort is gonna be necessary. The added benefit to that is frankly, it gives us another wheelchair equipped or wheelchair lift equipped vehicle that does not require a commercial driver's license to operate. Which with the number of field trips that we get, as you all know, we have bus shortages, bus driver shortages. So when one of our small bus drivers, are out sick, that immediately puts us into a tough situation of transporting, a student, one of our handicapped students that require that lift. And I think that we're probably not immediately, but certainly by next winter, I think we're gonna probably have to take a look at purchasing one of these. We're hoping to find a used one, likely used one. But I think that it's something that we're gonna need to do. And I think that, again, I think it's gonna get plenty of use, frankly, between all the field trips and everything else. And we have four in the district right now, or more than that, 5, right?
It's almost 2 hours.
Yeah, so we have 5 students in the district right now, that would require a lift, to be transported. And what we ran into earlier this week was a situation where we had 3 that needed to be transported at the same time. And so in that situation, we were able to use the life van. It wasn't being used. We kind of used it in between 2 of their field trips, to do the transport. And but that's gonna become a more challenging, as far as counting on that on a day-to-day basis.
How many students is the life van fit, Brian, with the wheelchair in it?
Life van has seating for, driver, passenger, 2, and pretty much 1. You can, is how that one's fitted. So it'd be a driver and 4 passengers, maybe
Plus the child.
plus the
Student and
wheelchair.
wheelchair
That's
child.
correct. You can get them outfitted in a little bit different configurations to seat more if necessary. Obviously, one of the things you gotta leave enough room to be able to get in the side door, to get into the back, to walk down the wheelchair for transport in and out. So you do need a little bit of a alleyway there to make access into the rear.
What are we talking about dollars and cents?
A lot, unfortunately. Brand new, to duplicate the one that we have out here, which is the Dodge 3/4 ton, which, I mean, that would be, in a perfect world, that's what we want. That's one of the few full-size front-wheel drive vans out there. That's about $120,000. There are used ones. We are in contact with a couple of different companies trying to find one. And again, this is not a situation where we've got to have one for tomorrow. So we do have time to do some shopping around and make sure that we're getting the right vehicle for what our needs are and trying to find one at the right price as well.
You don't need any action from us at this time.
This is a new requirement that I did not anticipate, and so it was not in my budget, and so we may have to move some things around.
The one that is out front that's used here was purchased with local entitlement, which is federal funding grant, for special education. That's how that one was purchased. So.
Penny, any questions on that? That was my presentation for discussion.
Anyone else have anything else? Seeing nothing, it is 6:02. We are adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. You want